Alrighty, so hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing an ethical and legal issue faced by Starbucks, specifically related to their claim of 100% ethically sourced products. This presentation is prepared by Christian Kemp and myself, Rachel Sanchez, as part of our business ethics coursework for fall 2024. Before we begin, I'd like to mention that this presentation adheres to the principles of fair use under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. It is intended solely for educational purposes, aligning with the requirements of our BLAW business ethics class. Alrighty, so welcome to Starbucks. Starbucks is a multinational coffee house that provides a third place experience, offering comfortable, welcome spaces for customers to relax and socialize. It's a matrix organizational structure which combines functional, geographical, and product-based divisions, enabling efficient global operations while tailoring strategies to local markets. Alrighty, so these two are the internal documents of Starbucks. The first one is the filings with the Secretary of State. Starbucks initially filed in 1985, of November 4th, and that was in Washington. The second one is a bylaws agreement for Starbucks. Okay, so the factual background of the company. Starbucks was founded in 1971 by Jerry Baldwin, Zev Ziegel, and Gordon Boker, which began as a single store in Seattle's Pike Place Market, selling high-quality coffee beans and equipment. The founders were inspired by coffee roasting entrepreneur Alfred Peet, whose store Peet's Coffee and Tea influenced their approach to coffee retailing. In 1982, Howard Schultz joined Starbucks as the director of the retail operations and marketing. After a trip to Italy in 1983, he was inspired by the country's coffee culture and sought to bring a similar experience to the United States. Although the original owners were hesitant, Schultz left Starbucks in 1985 to start his own coffee house, Second Journal, which offered espresso beverages. In 1987, Schultz acquired Starbucks and merged it with Second Journal, rebranding the combined company under the Starbucks name. Under Schultz's leadership, Starbucks expanded rapidly, opening stores across the United States and internationally. The company went public in 1992, raising $271 million through its initial public offering. By 1996, Starbucks had opened its first store outside North America in Japan, followed by locations in Europe and China in the 1990s. Today, Starbucks operates thousands of stores worldwide, offering a variety of coffee, beverages, teas, pastries, and other products. The company emphasizes creating a, quote, third place, quote, for customers to feel a comfortable environment between home and work. Starbucks is also known for its commitment to social responsibility, including ethical sourcing of coffee beans and environmental sustainability initiatives. Okay, so what is the issue and an ethical issue with Starbucks? Starbucks is being sued for false advertising, a violation of consumer protection laws for alleged misleading customers by claiming its coffee and tea are, quote, 100% ethically sourced, quote. The lawsuit alleges that Starbucks knowingly sourced products from suppliers engaging in documented human rights and labor abuses, which contradicts their public statements and marketing materials. If this is proven, Starbucks would be in violation of the Lanham Act, state consumer protection laws, and the FTC Act. Section 5. The unethical issue here is that Starbucks allegedly continues to source coffee and tea from suppliers in countries like Brazil, Guatemala, and Kenya, where there are documented instances of forced labor and modern slavery, including underage workers, unsafe working conditions, lack of clean drinking water, protective equipment, and proper sanitation. Third, wage exploitation, including deductions of essential equipment. This is a video of the background of the issue. Starbucks has this video posted on their website. They have claimed to be committed to 100% ethically sourced coffee, but we later find out that they allegedly are misleading their customers.
Our biggest threat as humans is thinking that we and the planet are invincible. That kind of denial has put our world at risk. But we humans also have the power to learn and to make a difference. Conservation International believes that people need nature, that it's our responsibility to protect it. For 15 years, Conservation International has been on an amazing journey with Starbucks to ethically source their coffee around the world. Together, they've created a new way to buy that coffee, one that is sustainable, transparent, and good for people and the planet. This journey has covered 4 continents where they've improved the lives of 1 million farmers and workers and cared for millions more coffee trees. Conservation International is proud to recognize Starbucks for ethically sourcing 99% of their coffee, making them the largest coffee retailer to reach this milestone. But there's always more to do. Starbucks is committed to 100% ethically sourced coffee. It is that constant pursuit of this last 1% that helps make the world a better place. That's why Starbucks is working with groups like Eastern Congo Initiative, which is helping thousands of coffee farmers in the Democratic Republic of Congo to increase their production, creating opportunities for local communities. In the end, this isn't about coffee. It's about possibilities and commitment. Whether you're a global company like Starbucks or a single human being, you can make a difference. And all those differences add up to a world that's changed for the better.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to my partner Christian, and he'll explain what Starbucks is being accused of.
Starbucks is being sued. Starbucks is facing a lawsuit from a consumer advocacy group that alleges that the company is misleading the public by widely marketing its 100% ethical sourcing commitment on all of its tea and coffee products, when it sources from suppliers with documented severe human rights and labor abuses. On every bag of coffee and box of K-Cups that Starbucks sells, Starbucks is proclaiming its commitment to 100% ethical sourcing, but the lawsuit cites reports of human rights and labor abuses on specific coffee and tea farms in Guatemala, Kenya, and Brazil, and alleges that Starbucks has continued to purchase from these suppliers in spite of the documented violations. Starbucks has its own standards called Coffee and Farmer Equity Practices. In 2004, Starbucks hired Conservation International, a nonprofit environmental organization, to help develop its own sourcing standards for its supposedly ethical coffee sourcing in more than 30 countries. Cafe Practices Standards claims to promote transparency, profitability, and responsible coffee growing and coffee processing practices while improving the livelihoods of farmers and workers. But the failure of this type of voluntary corporate-run certification program is well documented. Starbucks is the biggest coffee company in the world. It purchases approximately 3% of the coffee produced in the world and sources from more than 400,000 farms. What they do influences the whole industry. For a company that touts progressive values and high standards, Starbucks seems to fall short every time.
So, application of PBT. Let's discuss some laws now. Section 5 of the FTC Act, Unfair or Deceptive Practices. This law prohibits business from engaging in unfair or deceptive acts or practices in commerce. 2. The Lanham Act, false advertising. Starbucks would be in violation of the Lanham Act, which governs false or misleading advertising claims. This Lanham Act prohibits making false representations about products or services, especially if such claims cause harm to consumers or competitors. 3. State consumer protection laws, unfair competition law in California. Consumer Protection Procedures Act in Washington, D.C., where the lawsuit was filed. These laws prohibit false, deceptive, or misleading advertising to protect consumers from fraudulent business practices. Code of Business Conduct and Ethics. Starbucks Code of Conduct emphasizes integrity and transparency. The company commits to honest communication with customers, employees, and stakeholders. Ethical marketing. Marketing materials must reflect the truth about the company's product and practices. Supplier responsibility. Partners and suppliers are expected to meet rigorous ethical and environmental standards. In the context of the lawsuit, the 100% ethical sourcing claim, if proven misleading, breaches both ethical marketing and supplier responsibility commitments in the code. So, who will be impacted by this action? Number one being the consumers. Consumers who trust Starbucks' claims about it being 100% ethically sourced will feel misled, potentially leading to a loss of brand loyalty. Advocated from ethical consumerism may pressure Starbucks to take meaningful corrective actions. 2. Farmers and workers in the supply chain. Ethical farmers and workers that adhere to fair practices might benefit from Starbucks enforcing stricter oversight, ensuring they get better pay and working conditions. 3. Competitors. Competitors may benefit if consumers switch brands. Conversely, they might face criticism if their standards are not up to par. So, what cultural issues will the action impact? 1. Corporate accountability and transparency. The case could increase demands for transparency in global supply chains and highlight the importance of aligning its marketing claims with actual practices from the company. 2. Consumer trust and ethical claims. A shift in consumer skepticism toward ethically sourcing claims could impact how brands market and communicate their sustainability and fair trade commitments. 3. Advocacy for worker rights. The case could inspire cultural shifts toward prioritizing human rights and ethical labor practices, especially in developing countries where these violations are prevalent. What environmental issue will the action impact? While there were no immediate environmental issues, allegations suggest that Starbucks practices do not align with their environmental and ethical claims, which means they can be misleading consumers and contributing to environmental issues through unsustainable farming practices. Will the action breach the implied duty of integrity? As they lie right in the face of their customers, this action breaches the implied duty of integrity. They have a responsibility to be transparent to their customers and act in good faith, but because of this, they have hurt not only their reputation, but also their trust from their customers. With this in mind, customers will be less trusting of what Starbucks has to say and will be kept under a closer eye from here on out. So, bearing trajectory. As this is an issue that is negatively affecting many people's lives, and the blatant hypocrisy from Starbucks shows that their business is in a barren trajectory. They are more than willing to lie about simple things like this, so what else could they lie about in the future? This is not the action a renowned company should take. What happened to the company? In response, Starbucks stated that they take these allegations seriously and are actively working with their suppliers to ensure compliance with their standards. The lawsuit seeks injunctive relief, penalties, and damages, aiming to hold Starbucks accountable for its claims and to protect consumers and farm workers. Was there any civil liability? A consumer advocacy group filed a lawsuit against Starbucks in January 2024, alleging that the company falsely advertised its commitment to 100% ethical sourcing, while sourcing from farms with documented human rights and labor abuses. Were there any criminal fines, or was anyone convicted of a crime? No one has been convicted of a crime and no criminal fines have been charged, but there have been many lawsuits filed against Starbucks since news of this has broke out.